Beijing has dialed up the pressure on its Southeast Asian neighbors ahead of key talks in the South China Sea dispute. With a senior diplomat warning them against backing U.S. efforts in the region. Luo Zhaowei, China's Deputy Foreign Minister for Asian Affairs, also said negotiations with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations on a code of conduct in the waterway would resume on Thursday after being delayed by the coronavirus pandemic. The talks began in 2002 but have stalled over Beijing's insistence that countries outside the region be excluded, an apparent reference to the United States. Asean nations are increasingly torn between the feuding superpowers amid a growing risk of an all-out confrontation in the region. Speaking by video link at an international seminar hosted by the Foreign Ministry in a state-backed think tank on Wednesday, Luo said the U.S. was the root of the problems in the South China Sea. But observers said his tough remarks on Washington may be counterproductive as Beijing tries to win support from its neighbors in both the talks and its rivalry with the U.S. since he did not offer any new ways to address their concerns. The talks began in 2002 but have stalled over Beijing's insistence that countries outside the region be excluded, an apparent reference to the United States. Asean nations are increasingly torn between the feuding superpowers amid a growing risk of an all-out confrontation in the region. Speaking by video link at an international seminar hosted by the Foreign Ministry in a state-backed think tank on Wednesday, Luo said the U.S. was the root of the problems in the South China Sea. But observers said his tough remarks on Washington may be counterproductive as Beijing tries to win support from its neighbors in both the talks and its rivalry with the U.S. since he did not offer any new ways to address their concerns. China does not make trouble, but we are not afraid of trouble, he said, responding to U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Bigun's suggestion on Monday that Washington was open to expanding the four-nation bloc to other like-minded countries. Bigun also said that the Indo-Pacific region did not have strong multilateral structures or anything of the fortitude of Nato or the European Union. Pompeo last year said the Quad was aimed at putting China back in its proper place. Zhu Feng, who attended the seminar as executive director of the China Center for Collaborative Studies of the South China Sea at Nanjing University, said Luo's remarks came as Beijing was under unprecedented political, diplomatic, and military pressure from Washington. With the U.S. presidential elections approaching, the embattled Trump administration has deliberately raised tensions with China to revive his troubled re-election campaign, exacerbating the risk of conflict in the South China Sea, he said. Tensions neared boiling point after Pompeo in July rejected China's claims to up to 90% of the South China Sea as completely unlawful, lending support to rival claimants Vietnam, the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, and Taiwan. In recent weeks, Beijing has scrambled to counter Washington's efforts and shore up ties with key countries in Asia and Europe amid fears of a new Cold War between the world's two biggest economies. Top diplomat Yang Jiechi visited Myanmar on Tuesday after a trip to Singapore and South Korea last month. At the seminar on Wednesday, Luo accused the U.S. of making repeated provocations and trying to force countries in the region to take sides between Beijing and Washington. A troubled South China Sea only serves the interests of the U.S. and its global agenda, while countries in the region have to bear the costs, he told the gathering of retired government officials, and maritime and legal experts from the region. The U.S. has become the biggest threat to peace in the South China Sea and the entire region. It is a troublemaker for cooperation, development, and prosperity in the region. Luo also denounced a landmark UN tribunal ruling in 2016 in favor of the Philippines over China's historically based 9-line territorial claims to the waterway. And he dismissed concerns over China's military maneuvers in the region, including firing ballistic missiles into the South China Sea last week. Asean wants to turn the sea into an arena for power. We don't want it to become a tool for geopolitical competition, he said. Observers agreed that China faced an uphill battle in its relations with Asean countries. Colin Koh, a research fellow with the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, said ASEAN countries may also want to hasten talks on the code of conduct because of pandemic-induced uncertainties fueled further by what member states see as growing Sino-US tensions. Those tensions also meant that ASEAN had newfound importance for China, he said. However, despite growing concerns from the region over Beijing's assertive foreign policy, its stance on the maritime disputes remained unchanged, according to Zhongming Liang, a Southeast Asian affairs expert at Jinan University in Guangzhou. Luo's remarks may appeal to the audience in China, his harsh rhetoric against the U.S. is unlikely to help Beijing's case ahead of these crucial talks on the Maritime Code of Conduct, he said, adding that it had not made enough effort to acknowledge the concerns of ASEAN members.